Yeah, so we had about 500 transactions and about 200 million in sales.
In Galveston.
In Galveston, Texas.
Island.
Yes.
Just your office, or is that?
Just my office.
Just our office.
Ooh.
Behind the seawalls, kind of what we consider in town. And I think that's a great option. And that used to not be popular, but now that we have, 5 to 6 to 7 million cruise passengers a year, it's getting to be where people come to the island for the first time, they're excited, and they buy a house.
The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us once again to show number 538 right here in Houston, Texas. We appreciate you listening so much. And simply go to stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. That's right. That's where you could see this show. You could see all the guests. You could also access all the past shows, again, by going to stewart.com/radio. So let's get down to business right now as we welcome Nancy Dalton. She is a loan officer, and the company is called Guaranteed Rate. Nancy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill, and thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
We're glad, and we always love to talk about money on this show because it's the lifeblood of almost every business, right?
Yes.
Well, let's tell people about your company, Guaranteed Rate.
Guaranteed Rate. We are the third or fourth, depending upon what month it is and who you ask, largest mortgage lender in the United States. The corporate office is in Chicago, but we have a lovely office here in Augusta Drive in Houston, and several loan officers covering the entire city. I am just one of a team and one of many, but I'm happy to be there and been with the company for about a year and a half now.
It's always exciting. Well, let's tell people, as far as the types of loans at Guaranteed Rate, I believe there's a lot of loans and then matching the right person, the right loan. Give us an idea about the types of loans and the number of.
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling. I've been doing this business for 30 years, and it's evolved, and it's really evolved. I could tell people the things that we do faster than things that we don't do, or I can name them on one hand. But basically everything from we sell to the major agencies, jumbo lending, Fannie Mae, FHA, VA, USDA, and then various and sundry non-Fannie Mae type of products. There's things for borrowers who want to have rent properties, or maybe you want to hold a title to the property and the loan in your business name. We can help you out with that.
And Nancy, where you do most of your work, is it geographically in a certain area of Houston, or how do you approach
I'm
your
anywhere
work?
you always need to be. I always tell people I'm anywhere from Conroe to Clear Lake, but I'm licensed in the entire state of Texas, and that's pretty much, this is a big backyard, and it's pretty much to keep me busy, yes.
It is really big, no question, and growing. I mean, we still see people and hear about people coming from other states all the time.
All the time. Amazing, yes.
Well, as far as one of the things, a big component of any loan is the down payment. So give us an idea about, especially in the world of down payment assistance, how does that work and what's available to help somebody?
So many things. And, as no secret to people that mortgage rates have been not where we've necessarily wanted them to be over the last 2 to 3 years. That is changing, which is a good thing. So the government will come in and say, hey, we're really sorry we can't do anything about the interest rates, but here's these down payment assistance programs. And there's just more and more of them. So the things that you want to look out for as a borrower or maybe a realtor, that there are some, I always call them pockets of money. There's some programs that, believe it or not, are income based. There's some that are employment based. And what I mean by that is that you could be a first responder, a teacher working for a school system, firefighter, etc. So just because of your occupation, there may be things that are available to you that may not be to someone else. Then when I say it's income-based, most of these programs you can expect as a borrower to receive anywhere from, say, maybe 3 to 5% that will help with the down payment and some of the closing cost. Yes, you probably do have to have some of your own monies, but there are some that can really help an actual borrower to get into a property. Make sure, there's really nothing that's free these days, but make sure that the program that you're looking for, some of them are income-based, meaning you can only make a certain amount. And if you make over that, then, well, that product is not going to be for you. So most of these will have state bond programs. And you need to look at also the county. So there's Harris, Montgomery, Fort Bend, that type of thing. There's certain down payment assistance programs that work really well for people living and buying in those areas.
So once again, it kind of seems like as far as the loan, we have to match it up to the person's needs, their requirements, their profile. Same thing with the down payment. So a different down payment, one type of program will be available for one person, and then we'll match it another one to someone else.
Absolutely. One size does not fit all. Yes.
So then how often, let's take, the last 10, 15, 20 loans, how often let's just take 10. Out of the 10 people that we've had loans with recently, how many of them used the down payment assistance part?
Me personally, or?
Just,
yes.
In your experience in the last 10.
So I'd say the last 10, maybe 2 will need down payment assistance.
And then also on the subject of down payments, as the people that you've been helping lately, what is the amount, forget the down payment assistance for a minute, but how much do people generally put down? Say in the last 10, do they put down 5%, 10, 20? What have you seen?
Well, if they're doing an FHA loan, then the minimum down payment there is 3.5%. And that's where I say when these pockets of monies or the down payment assistance will go from 3 to a 5% range, that's really going to take care of that 3.5% initial down payment on an FHA product. Conventional, you can have some that are minimum 3%. We have an excellent one for this particular topic. And then some people will also put down 5% on FHA. Now, most of these, on conventional. And bear in mind that at least one of the borrowers needs to be a first-time home buyer. So, we get that question a lot. Hey, well, I, already own so many homes or whichever. These programs are for people who need an extra assistance, either if it's, like I said, income, sometimes it's their job or their employment that will make them eligible for these, and it's really for people that are sometimes buying in a certain area that actually will qualify for it.
As far as down payment assistance, will this be available, do you think, for a while? Has it been around a long time? Or is it a seasonal type of thing?
It ebbs and flows, yes. And I'm glad you asked that. So I would think the last time that we saw this, and when I said that the government will come in and say, oh, we're so sorry, we can't do anything about the rates, and then it comes in and it goes back. So I guess kind of my point, maybe setting a sense of urgency. I don't think that these are going to last for very long. Get it while it's hot, basically, because as soon as the economy stabilizes, the mortgage rates maybe come back to something projected in 2025. Then you're going to see them pull back and say, well, hey, maybe Americans really don't need to have so much assistance, and we'll go back to a state of normalcy.
We're talking with Nancy Dalton. The company is Guaranteed Rate. As we think ahead, I'm glad you mentioned 2025. At Guaranteed Rate, when you have your meetings and you're talking about the end of this year, forecasting, what are some of the things that your company is talking about as to what to expect at the end of the year and as we look ahead, speculating?
Well, if you're in the real estate market or haven't been under a rock lately, the last couple of years, we've all been waiting on what the Fed's going to do with rates, et cetera. And yes, we had a first cut, thank goodness. There is more expected. Who knows? Crystal ball, don't have one. There's more expected between now and, say, the end of the year, and then again into 2025 that they should be getting back to more sense of normal. This time last year, we were well above 7%. Now the national average, 6.125. So it's going in the right direction finally.
Well, that's good news.
Yes, very good news.
So you're excited about that. You're seeing the business pick up here recently, it sounds like.
Yes. It was the phone started ringing, et cetera. As soon as that the Fed made that first announcement. That's been a very, very good thing. But it also is bringing more people to the table. I don't want to say sharks to the feeding frenzy, but as soon as the general public, it's been so long with I'll wait. I can't tell you how many times I've, throughout the last 2-3 years, call me when it gets to X, call me when the rate gets to Y. People have just been sitting and waiting. And meanwhile, the price of real estate, what's it been doing?
It's going up.
Absolutely. 2 years ago, the average median price of a home was $348. That same home now, $405.
Well, Nancy, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know about your company?
I want you to know about what we offer on this particular down payment assistance. We are looking at Fannie Mae giving a grant for $5,000. Guaranteed rate will come in additional to that and give your borrower up to 1% or capped at $3,000, so for a total of $8,000. And we will also reimburse them up to $500 for their appraisal. So
sounds pretty good.
It's awesome.
Let's tell people how they can reach you.
They can reach me by calling 281-989-8861, or my website is rate.com/Nancy Dalton.
Phone number again is
281-989-8861.
Thank you so much, Nancy Dalton.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
As we continue, let's go to the island. Once again, it's been a while, but we're going to Galveston Island right here in the Houston market. We're going to talk with Jason Keeling and Anthony Apsher. They are with RE/MAX Leading Edge. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Howdy, thank you.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Excited
but,
to be here.
It might be going better on the island. So
Yes.
you're gonna be our spokesman and ambassadors for Galveston Island today.
There wasn't any traffic down there today.
How about that?
Water looked gorgeous.
See, you're putting us in the mood just with those descriptions. You're painting a picture. Well, first of all, Jason, let's tell people about your company, RE/MAX Leading Edge.
Yes.
On the island.
Yeah, so we've got RE/MAX Leading Edge. We're the #1 brokerage on the island. We've got about 50 agents. We have a great
Is there
group
room
of people.
for 50 agents on the island?
We do have 50 agents, yeah. We're just excited to be there. We help a lot of people. We had about 500 transactions last year, about $200 million in sales.
Let's repeat that.
Yeah.
Those are some significant numbers. Say that again.
Yeah, so we had about 500 transactions and about $200 million in sales
In Galveston.
in Galveston, Texas.
Island.
Yes,
Just your office, or is
just my office.
Just our office.
Ooh,
Yes,
your agents are working, aren't they?
they are. We have some of the top producing agents. Kelly is #1 in Texas.
How about that?
Yep.
Well, Anthony, let's tell people. Now, you are the broker. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Jason. And then, Anthony, your role at RE/MAX is what?
Yes, sir. I am the office manager, and I'm also a realtor on the island.
Well, I think one of the first things to think about is a lot of people, not just in Houston, but people outside of the state, outside of the city, sometimes say, hey, I want to have a house in Galveston, either as I want to move there or I want a second home. So first, let's address the second home idea for someone that might be like me that wants a home out there.
Certainly. I went to Texas A&M in Galveston and decided to stay myself, so I was kind of a islander by choice, as we call it. But having a second home there is a fantastic idea, and the best time to start is as soon as possible. So I bought my first house about 20 years ago down there, and now it's currently a vacation rental for me. We do 6 figures with it a year, and it's just it's a fun thing to do to be able to host people.
That sounds awesome. Give us an idea of the price points. So let's say, I mean, I know they can go up to the millions and so forth.
Sure.
But start in the starting points price-wise for people to kind of think about. It would probably be, I guess, a condo somewhere?
Well, I'd say, single-family house is probably a better choice for me, but there's definitely condos. We have price range from, let's say, $100,000 up to $1 million. We've got opportunities for vacation rentals at places that people might know in Houston, like Casa del Mar. They're in about $115,000 to $130,000 right now. Or you can have a house on the West End, like Sea Isle or Jamaica Beach. You can range from, let's say, $400,000 to $1 million, and a very nice vacation rental with the pool you can get for $500,000 to $600,000.
Sounds affordable.
I believe it is, especially if you can make the kind of income that we're making with our properties.
So, and then let's take the number 400,000. Okay, so for 400,000, what can I buy for that?
Sure. You could buy, let's say, a West End, what we call a dry house, a dry land. And so you might have a beach view with that. Or what we did with one of our houses was an in-town house, and we added a pool to it, and that's about $450,000. And that in-town house is about 2,000 square feet.
Not too bad.
That's pretty good. I mean, to be able to think about that, people in Houston, they buy on a lake, and they might be at $600,000 or $700,000. But in Galveston, you could buy a nice, what we consider like a mansion for $700,000 on the island. If you want to be beachfront or bayfront, you're looking at around $1 million.
But how about, I knew someone once that had a home that was in the city, if we'll call it that.
Yeah.
It wasn't really near the water, but it was a nice home that was close to restaurants and things like that.
Yeah. Behind the seawalls, kind of what we consider in town. And I think that's a great option. And that used to not be popular, but now that we have, 5 to 6 to 7 million cruise passengers a year, it's getting to be where people come to the island for the first time, they're excited, and they buy a house.
And the walkability is amazing. So if you're somewhere, like he said, in town or even on the Strand, the historical district, people just like it for the vintage feel because it's historical. A lot of homes are built in the early 1800s or even 1900s, and people just love that vibe.
Yep.
Well, it sounded pretty good. Anthony, give us an idea as far as the businesses, and also as the office manager, you're seeing the activities of all the realtors as well as
Absolutely.
helping buyers and sellers yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have a pretty good pulse on what's happening.
Absolutely. So there's definitely growth and opportunities on the island, especially in town and on the Strand. A lot of businesses are popping up. A lot of areas are developing. It's just becoming a very cool, trendy, walkable place to live.
And let's tell people, especially for those outside of Houston listening on the internet somewhere, Pennsylvania, who knows.
Yeah.
But when you say on the Strand, what is the Strand?
Yes, sir. So it is the historical street where there's a lot of shops, a lot of boutiques, a lot of bars that a lot of people like to go to. I heard recently it's one of the top bachelorette destinations on the island. So it just ties right back into buying an investment property where these people want to stay somewhere close to these destination places.
How has the cruise ship element, which is actually growing, I hear, how is that affecting real estate?
Significantly. They're building the MSC terminal right now, which is going to be driving a lot of European visitors who are going to stay even longer. So we're looking at 2 weeks at a time. Those people need places to stay.
What does MSC mean?
MSC, the cruise line.
That's the name of the cruise line.
Yeah.
That's the cruise company.
Yeah. So it's a European cruise line. And so people are going to want to stay walkable, travel distance far away from the terminal. And so that's where the midtown, downtown area is going to be growing.
I just took a YouTube tour of that ship that's coming that was built in 2022, and it looks very nice. So we're going to be excited to have that. I think it's coming November of 25. So that's pretty exciting. But, yeah, I had 3 guests in a row that were cruise passengers at one of the vacation rentals from Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, I think.
Have you taken a cruise, Jason?
I just got back actually on Saturday.
Come on. Where were you?
We did Rotan and Cozumel and then Costa Maya. And that was after one that we did 2 weeks ago.
That sounds awesome.
Yep.
And I bet a lot of people here that live in Houston, like me, sometimes forget about the cruise activity. I mean, we get involved with our lives and all the things we have to do and like to do right here, right in Houston, where there's tremendous restaurants and things to do.
Yes.
But right there's a lot of stuff going on in Galveston.
Yep. We got lucky. I mean, it's the restaurants down there are top notch. You get spoiled. We were talking about that on the cruise. We went to the high-end steakhouse, and it just doesn't meet the same quality that you get in Galveston.
So I'm going to guess when you went on the cruise, you didn't even have to drive your car to park. You just took an Uber to the cruise.
Yeah, we have friends drop us off. That's the way we do it.
So have you been on a cruise there, Anthony?
I've been 3 years, last 3 years for my birthday.
That sounds awesome.
Amazing.
It's so easy to be able to just go to the port and leave.
Well, what are some of the other economic drivers other than the cruise lines? Yes, the water's there. What are some of the other things that are bringing people to Galveston?
Just tourism is the biggest thing. We get it's very seasonal. A lot of people just come down from, like you said, Oklahoma. Everyone has their spring break one after another. So we just get people from all over the country that just come down to Galveston.
They also forget we have UTMB down there. We have 3 colleges as well, Texas A&M, UTMB, and then Galveston College. So people have a lot. They have no idea what is going on in Galveston, but it's pretty incredible what's going on. The construction every day. I drive different areas and I see stuff that I'm excited about. We were there for the Royal Caribbean terminal. Do you remember how much that cost? It was $100 million, right?
Something.
I think it was $100 million terminal. One of the nicest terminals in the country. So, but besides that, I mean, we have a lot of business as well with the port.
There's so much we're learning here today. It's exciting.
Right.
What else should we know about the real estate activity down there?
Rentals are really big right now. Long-term rentals. So a lot of snowbirds are coming down from the north to just stay, like you said, in a condo.
Because winter's coming right now.
Absolutely.
It's getting cold up there.
Yeah. So people like to come down to, stay for 3-6 months at a beach house, on the water, enjoy the scenery, and then go back to where they came from. And then we get a lot of students from all over, go to UTMB, the biggest training hospital in Texas, and then Texas A&M as well, the Marine.
So then at your company, RE/MAX Leading Edge, they're calling you to buy, sell homes, of course, but also would we call you to have a long-term rental?
Absolutely.
Yes. And what is the average amount of time, the long-term rental? Is it 3, 6 months? What?
It can be
generally a year for a long term, but I mean, we do shorter term as well.
Short term.
Yeah. I mean, we have a property management company as well, Gulf Coast Palms Property Management, where we manage about 200 rentals right now. But I did have a vacation rental company as well that we managed about 300. So you could have people stay for a night or two, or you could have them stay for 6 months or up to a year.
Let's say a 1,500, 2,000 square foot home, bungalow, place.
So many options.
During the season, which is the winter, what does that go for a 3-4 month rental?
3-4 months?
There's a slight difference between furnished and unfurnished. Furnished, you could be looking at $2,500, I'd say.
About, yeah.
I'd be happy to get somebody in some of the units for that price in the off season because it's nice and stable for the owner, and then for the renter, you get to know them, and I mean you meet some pretty neat people.
We're talking with Jason Keeling and Anthony Apsher. They are with RE/MAX Leading Edge. Well, gentlemen, before we close the segment, Jason, what else should we know?
You got to get to Galveston. If you haven't been there in a while, I'd say we invite you down. Just come on down, enjoy the restaurants, make a weekend out of it. Go to the beach. Today it was just as calm as can be and beautiful. So we'd love to have you.
Anthony?
Yeah, just get down to the island, just experience it.
And how can we reach you, Anthony Apsher?
So you can reach us at our office at 409-744-3300. And you can also reach me directly at Galveston, Texas Living.
Phone number again is?
409-744-3300.
And Jason, your number is?
Sure. It's 409-750-2222. Make it easy. That's my cell phone, so if you need me, you got me.
One more time?
409-750-2222.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's welcome Jake West. His company is Gateway Mortgage. It's money time again. Jake, welcome to the show.
How's it going, Bill?
It's going good. Doing a radio show right here. It's so exciting. Let's tell people about your company, Gateway Mortgage.
So Gateway Mortgage, small company out of Oklahoma. It was actually founded by the now governor of Oklahoma, who started out in his garage just lending and grew it into what it is now, which is all over the country, big in Texas and Oklahoma, but all the way up north in New York, New Jersey, and still, as he says, green and growing.
I like the idea of someone lending money out of their garage. That is just a great way to start. A lot of things happen.
A computer in a garage.
Didn't Apple computer start in a garage? So many things, and things go from there. It's pretty awesome. So, and in Oklahoma, but your office is where here in
We're
Houston?
in Texas. So he did things a little different growing the company. We are a mortgage company that bought a bank so that we could service our loans, and we grew it a little different. Most of the time, it's banks buying mortgage companies. So the way he did it was so that we could service our loans, keep them in-house, keep them around as a lifelong customer. So that's kind of what he did getting into this, and it is one of those things where that's what we've promoted. We're your loan officer from beginning till the end.
And your office is where?
We are in Friendswood, Texas. So a little bit south of Houston, in between Galveston, talking about Galveston earlier, in between Galveston and Houston. So we're right there in the suburbs, right in between everyone.
So for those listening, say from outside of Houston, maybe another state or something, Friendswood is about, let's say, how many miles, give or take, from the center of Houston? 20?
About 20-25.
About 20-25. How about that?
So right there between where Friendswood, Pearland, League City.
Well, people got real excited over a small rate drop.
Yes.
So little things make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, give us an idea how your activity has increased, say, in the last week or so, 2 weeks.
So in the last week, I mean, of course, they made the announcement with the 50 basis points. That was big news.
It's big.
That's what hits the media, and that's what people hear. Most mortgage companies have already prepared for this, and rates have already started dropping over the past month. So them coming out with the rate, it's in the media, and it is time to get into people thinking that rates are dropping, and they are. So, I mean, as we've seen this happening over the past month, rates have already started to drop. We've started to go from the beginning of the year in the 7s, now down into the 6s. So it is one of those things where this is good news, as we were talking about earlier, bringing more buyers into the market, having more programs available for these buyers, and people that have been sitting on their 2.25 interest rates, 3% interest rates now can start looking again and get into the next house that they're looking for.
So sixes have a nice sound to them, to
Yes.
me. I mean, way better than those that were 7 and higher and so forth, right?
When you get into the 7s, it's one of those where it's tough. I mean, there are people that have to buy houses. I mean, there's people renting out there. One thing that I do a lot of, and something that when I got into the industry I learned about, is down payment assistance, first-time home buyer programs. So there's always going to be that niche. I mean, if you don't own a house, you're still going to want to buy a house no matter the interest rate. And so kind of getting into that is one of those things where as rates keep going up, you have people telling you, hey, it's time to wait. And I mean, right now is a time where you can look at it. There's less buyers on the market. There's inventory that's out there, and taking advantage of the times is what you need to look at.
And as your office is in Friendswood, do you work with more people in Friendswood, or do you also go to other areas in Houston?
I'm all over Texas. So I am actually originally from Dallas-Fort Worth, a little town called Keller. And so I still have a lot of ties up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I still have some business that I do up there as well, but mostly in Friendswood. That's my local community. I've gotten into it. I mean, that's one thing that we are big out is supporting our local agents that are there in the area. And from there, I mean, it's really kind of grown out. I mean, we can go all over the country. I'm doing one right now in Philadelphia. And so, I mean, it's something that where you learn, but most of my business is in the Galveston County area.
Well, and as the rates have started to drop, and what's your perspective and speculation on where they're going? Do you think they're going to still go down in 2025, or, I mean, who really knows? But
I was going to say, if I had the answer, I would be rich. And I mean, but we're still so volatile right now to where, I mean, we've got the election going on. We've got Fed making announcements to cut rates. And it is one of those things where there is so many different factors that go into the interest rate that it could go one direction. I think we're going to slowly start leveling off heading into the next couple of years.
Yeah, there's always the volatility element. So but as people have been nudged a bit or a lot because of the rates going lower, when should someone prepare to reach out to you to say, hey, Jake, man, I want to buy a house. Let's say they want to buy a house December 1. When should they call you?
Start the process immediately.
Let's find it. Let's get it going.
Be ready, because, I mean, with the market that we're in right now, being prepared, being able to have an offer ready to go. I mean, we had one house that popped up for sale in Friendswood, and I had 4 people that I haven't heard from in 6 months text me and say, hey, can you run numbers on this house? It's when that house becomes available, you want to be ready, because if you don't jump on it and it is that house that everyone's looking for, you might lose it just because you weren't ready and you don't have everything ready to go. You can always refinance. So, I mean, no matter what the times are with the interest rates right now, you will always be able to refinance if rates do drop. If not, you have a good rate, and that's what you're locked in at. But that is one of those things where you can take advantage of the time, less buyers in the market, and just being prepared.
We're talking with Jake West. The company is Gateway Mortgage. Well, as far as down payments, let's hit that a minute. In the last 10 loans, what is the size of the down payment you've seen most when people? I used to put down 20%. I saved my money, put down 20.
Well, I mean,
But what do you see mostly?
That's what everyone's been taught growing up. That 20% down, you drop mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is this bad thing. It really depends on each buyer. And so, I mean, I go over that with each buyer whenever we have that first initial phone call after they fill out the application. I go, hey, I see you're putting 20% down on here. Let's talk about other options, putting less down if you want to. Y'all have great credit. Mortgage insurance goes off of credit, how much you're putting down, all of those factors. So let's look at how much money you can save in your pocket and how much your payment's going to be, all of the different things. I mean, those are really the main things to look at whenever somebody applies. I know you talked about this earlier, was each person's going to be a little different. Do you want to drain your savings account moving into this house, or be prepared to have some reserves to fall back on and keep some money in your bank account?
Every situation is different. And also, you may be talking to an individual, yes, a family. And when we get ready and call you to say, hey, I want to get pre-approved versus pre-qualified. Quick, let's tell people the difference between pre-approved and pre-qualified.
Pre-qualified is just basically taking an application, looking at everything, not really verifying the documents, and saying you're pre-qualified to go shopping around this amount. Pre-approved means you are getting the documentation for income, assets, you have everything approved, it's been through an underwriter, and you have a conditional approval pending everything on the house.
So we want to be pre-approved before we go out with the realtor and look at houses. Very important, right?
Yes, because we've run into it a few times where I've had to fix loans in the middle because they've been pre-qualified, go shopping for a house when actually they weren't pre-approved, and the amount was too high for what they actually should have been looking in.
So on average, when someone calls you, maybe they hear you on the show today, when they call you and say, hey, I want to get ready to be pre-approved and go shopping, how long does that process take on average? If someone's employed and not self-employed, how long does it take them, your company, to come back and say, okay, we've done this, we got your information? A couple days?
We're within 24 hours.
24 hours.
I mean, we're one of those, if you have your paperwork, your income, asset documentation ready, we can get you pre-approved within 24 hours.
So probably a good idea for people out there just to be ready anyway, because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, and then that way, I mean, we have a file built for you. If you find that house you like, you kind of want to know what interest rates are at the time. You want to know what your payment would look like on it. That's where we can run through those scenarios and have everything ready. But not only that, I mean, it's one of those where if you are using down payment assistance, that's one of those you want to be approved. You want to know where your income falls into line, if it's one of those programs that you should use, and just getting you into the house.
So, Jake, of all the things you could be doing right here, you could be doing other things than being in the mortgage world. What is it that you love so much about this money world and helping people?
Financing is what I went to school for. It's one of those, I came out of college, my brother asked me to help him to open nutrition stores. I did the finance for that. And it was one of those things where getting into this after having kids, I played around with the numbers a few times, getting to feel that excitement at the closing table with somebody who's buying their first home or getting their forever home. That was really the main thing that I really enjoyed. Playing with the numbers, that's comes right there with it. I mean, because it is one of those things where me being somebody who does a lot of first-time home buyers, using these first-time home buyer programs, down payment assistance, I was able to actually use that last year and be top 3 in the state. And so that is one of those things where being able to use something like that, moving somebody into a house for very little money out of their pocket. I mean, we're talking maybe earnest money, and then using the down payment assistance programs to help them move in for nothing out of pocket for them. That's the real joy of being able to go to that closing table, knowing that they're buying this first house, being told no, that they were going to need 20% down at the beginning, and just being able to talk through it with them and get them to the closing table and have their house for their family was the biggest joy.
And Jake, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know?
Really, I mean, just don't give up. Buying a house, I know a lot of people have been told it's hard, it's not easy, that you're going to be renters for life. That is one of those things where I like talking through it with people. I like to get you to a point where you have access to buying a house. That way you're not sitting there renting for the rest of your lives.
And let's tell people how they can reach you, Jake West.
So my cell phone number, and that is the only thing I give out, is 817-680-8559 is what I use for everything. It is text, call. I'm always going to be available weekends. So that is one of those things. And then my application website is jakefromgateway.com.
jakefromgateway.com. The phone number again is
817-680-8559.
Thank you so much, Jake. Once again, a rare opportunity to talk to one of our top escrow officers at Stewart Title, all the way from Pearland, Texas, Tara Hobbs. Tara, what's up?
Hey, Bill, how are you today?
Well, here we are. We got great results when you were on the show, a big response when you were on last time. So let's remind people about our Pearland office where you are right there helping people every day.
Yes, I have been with Stewart Title for 19 years in the Pearland office. I've been in the title industry for about 22 years. And I will tell you that we are kind of in the middle of the hub, again, with the Pearland, Friendswood, Alvin, Manville, right there off of 288, 518 area. We're right where everything is growing and going.
It's growing like crazy, isn't it?
It's weeds. It's just weeds. Just water in the weeds, and all these houses keep popping up.
Super awesome. There you are in Pearland. People want to bring their contracts to you in Pearland, Texas. Tara Hobbs. What should they do?
They need to call us. Our office number is 281-412-6900. They can also email. We have a main email address that we use for our office. It's S as in Sam or Stewart, T as in Tom, H as in Harry, 07 at stewart.com. That goes to everybody in our office, so everybody can help you quickly.
Right there. And the phone number again in Pearland, Texas is
281-412-6900.
Thank you, Tara Hobbs. And now a quick word from our island representative. That's right, Maggie Green. We haven't seen Maggie for a few weeks, but she is there at our historic Stewart Title office in Galveston, Texas. Maggie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
Well, here you are. You say it all the time, Maggie Green, like the color.
I do, yes.
Because that's how you spell it, right?
Yes.
I'm quick like that. So in the meantime, let's tell people about the two offices in Galveston because, I mean, the activity's crazy, right?
Yes, sir. It really is. So we do have two offices in Galveston. We have our downtown office, which is the original Stewart Title location, opened in 1893.
What?
Yeah. And that's on 222 22nd Street or Kempner Street. Pretty easy to remember. And then we have our Weston office, which is in Pirates Beach.
Let's say the opening of Stewart Title in historic Galveston. Once again, because we're over 130 years old, right?
Yes, sir, we
and
are.
And that year was what?
1893.
Did they have the internet back then?
I don't think so. No.
Maybe not. Huh? No. They were just yelling back and forth to each other, I'm guessing. They didn't even have telephones. Well, Maggie, let's tell people, once again, your phone number if they want to bring the contract to the West End, which is a few miles away, or historic downtown.
Right. Well, anyone can actually reach me on my cell phone, which for both branches, 409-356-3981. Again, that is 409-356-3981.
Thank you so much, Maggie Green, and good to see you again.
Good to see you, Bill. Thank you.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance, with a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers. Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance.
Hi, Bill.
Here we are.
Great show.
As always. But, you know, as we were starting, before we started recording, there's a sense of greatness in this room. And I don't know if I can explain it. Can you?
Well, absolutely. We have three former students from Texas A&M University here today. So that's exactly what it is.
And I wonder how many, outside of the people in this room, John, and your your alumni there at
former students.
I wonder how many A&M people listen to the show. Do you have a feel?
Well, I think that the last number I saw was 78.2% of our listeners are former students.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And they wait for the insurance segment, and here it is right now.
And in the insurance segment of our listeners, it's 92.7%.
Well, you know, numbers are fantastic.
Numbers are fantastic, yes.
So is insurance.
So is insurance. So there have been some harsh realities that have taken place this summer that have kind of reminded us that it's never a bad time to review your personal insurance needs. Because of those harsh realities, it's critical that we both look at it from a budgetary perspective, but also from a coverage perspective. So, we just recently had Hurricane Francine, and they're estimating now that it'll be something like $9 billion worth of damage from Francine. Of that, CoreLogic thinks that it'll be $1.5 billion in insurable damages. So that was just Francine. If you take a look at adding Beryl, which we think will do somewhere between $28 to $32 billion in damages, and then Debbie that did about $28 billion in damages, that's ultimately going to come back and affect us, from our premiums, because when they're looking at those damages, they're looking at things like homes and auto and infrastructure, facilities, buildings, roadways. Those are all taken into consideration. And then the thing that was really devastating about Francine was it had a significant amount of damage to the offshore platforms that the other two didn't have. So that's all coming into play, and that's why it's just a reminder that we need to make sure that we've got the coverage that we need. And that's not just your home insurance and your auto insurance, but also making sure that you've got flood coverage if it makes sense for where you're located.
You reminded me my flood coverage is due in a couple of weeks, actually.
Well, let's make sure that you get that check in on time.
I will do so, because they said if I don't get it in, I'm getting a discount because I've had it for years now.
Yeah,
but if I let it lapse, it's going to jump up.
It's going to be more expensive. That is correct.
All right, I'll do
that. Is correct. So, please don't let it lapse. That, and we also want to make sure you maintain coverage.
There's no doubt about it. Watching the devastation here recently, it's just a reminder that right here in Houston, we get a lot of water, usually a lot of rain. But, boy, even other parts of the country, no one's immune from these disasters.
No, flood coverage is important regardless of where you're located. The National Flood Insurance Program has designated flood zones almost all over the U.S. There are just a few areas that don't have those designations. So, whether you're in Michigan on a lake, or you're in the mountainous area where you're going to have melting snow, or the coast, flood coverage is needed.
Well, and this is also, as we're at the end of the year, it's always a time to evaluate and to plan in all the categories of life.
Absolutely. So, part of your personal financial review each year ought to be your insurance coverage. So, does it make sense for where we are financially right now? Based upon any life changes that have occurred, is the coverage what we need? We may need to be a bit more conservative. You may have had some children move out, but you may have added drivers. Are you looking to downsize your home? Are you looking to buy a bigger home because you've got a growing family? All those things can come into consideration. So it's important that, part of that personal financial evaluation should include your insurance coverage.
It works hand in hand. A lot of people are thinking about buying a second home, a condo down in Galveston, the island.
Absolutely. So if you're looking to buy that second home in Galveston, we can work with those folks and make sure that that second home is properly insured as well as their current home.
I bet you'd even go down to the RE/MAX Leading Edge office and shed some light. Tell them about the two sides of water if they asked you.
In fact, I'm going to make sure that those are secured before the gentlemen leave today.
That's right. Then we will unbar the door here at the studio.
They can leave as soon as they commit to letting me come down. That's correct.
There's no doubt about it. Well, there's so many things in insurance. It's always a planning time. It's always good to know about your policies. And I say this every now and then. It's hard for a lay person, a regular person like me or some people listening. I don't know if I'm a regular person, but it's hard to read the policy. There's so many different language. There's a language of insurance we've talked about. There's a lot of words and a lot of terms. One of the beauties of Stewart Insurance is they help navigate and even help tell you answers to questions you didn't know to ask as you talk with your advisor at Stewart Insurance. That's what I love.
Well, that's true, and I do think that there's a significant difference between having an advisor work with your insurance plans and having an agent that's selling you a policy. And an agent's just doing that. They're looking to sell a policy and move on to the next individual, and that's not our operating procedure. We want to be that advisor. We want to make sure that our clients are properly insured, and that could be a very conservative coverage. That could be very broad coverage. The most important thing is that that our clients understand what they do and don't have covered, understand what risk is being offset to the insurance company and what risk they're taking on. If they understand that and are comfortable with that decision, then in our world they're properly insured.
And that's a word that goes forth from these microphones almost not every show, but almost every show, at least every other show, properly insured. That's where we want to be.
Absolutely. It's important that for us that the clients that we work with are properly insured.
No doubt about it. So, John, what are some of the other things we should know here on our segment today?
Well, we can work with you from a personal perspective on your home, your wind, your auto, your flood, motorcycle, watercraft, investment property. And then on the business side, we work with real estate brokers, realtors, independent title and attorney agents, and some property management firms on your business insurance. So your errors and omissions, cyber liability, general liability, workers' compensation. We work with clients in and around real estate on their business insurance.
And one of the great things about Stewart Insurance that manifests itself in superior customer service is the company culture right there, led by Tom Carpentier, the president of Stewart Insurance. The culture is such that the people we talk to on the phone, and we actually talk to them on the phone, are called advisors. So your company has created this company culture through these many years that helps the clients that you serve day
Absolutely.
in and day out.
So we don't have customers, we have clients. We feel like customers is a transactional relationship versus being a client is a personal relationship. And we look at it as we're insuring families, we're insuring individuals that own businesses. It's not just a transaction or number. We don't sell policies, we build plans because it's going to be based upon what your individual or business needs, are at that time. Our mission is to be the insurance resource for real estate. So that's our focus. So when we're building you a plan, it's from a company that has an expertise and an appetite for that industry or that business or that individual.
John, let's tell people how they can reach your company, Stewart Insurance.
They can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com and email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
John, what if there's someone in the state of Illinois that wants to be properly insured? What number should they call?
They should call 866-798-2827.
One more time, just for the fun of it.
866-798-2827.
Thank you so much, John Bramlett.
Bill, I appreciate it.
And here she is. Nancy Dalton is coming back to the show. The company is Guaranteed Rate. Nancy, welcome back.
Hi, Bill. Been a long time.
Yeah, 40 minutes?
30 minutes? Something like that.
Seems like forever.
Seems like a blink, yes.
But in the meantime, here you are. As we close the show, Nancy, Guaranteed Rate. What else do you want people to know about your company and what you're doing?
Don't wait to buy a house.
Buy now.
Buy now, yes. I hate to say it. Supply is so precious. Demand is going to heat up as rates come down. Don't let it pass you by. Do it now.
Be ready. Buy now. It's always the right time to buy the right house.
It is. And people ask me, when is a good time to buy a house? And I say, when you need one.
There you go. Nancy, let's tell people once again how they can reach you at Guaranteed Rate.
By my mobile phone of 281-989-8861, or you can always go to rate.com/Nancy Dalton.
The number again is?
281-989-8861.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Bill.
Meanwhile, one more time with the gentleman from RE/MAX Leading Edge. Yes, they are on the island. Jason, Anthony, welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, here we are. The island, I think we put people in a certain mood, in a good mood. We've painted a picture a little bit. Yep. What else should we know before we close the show?
I think what was echoed earlier is the best time to buy is, now. If you didn't buy in the past, we don't know what's coming, but I would definitely be, I would push people to think about that. If you can afford to do it now, price is always going to go up.
Well, and when we think about Galveston Island, the real estate, people, buyers and sellers, but I'm just hearing so much about the businesses moving in. You've already touched upon it with the cruises, but I mean, just even restaurants and stores. I mean, it's not stopping, is it?
Absolutely. So recently, a boutique hotel opened up called Hotel Lucine with a very fancy restaurant called The Fancy, a wonderful bar.
Lucine?
Hotel Lucine, yes, sir. And it's just the trendy go-to place to go to right now.
Have you had dinner there yet? I have not. No, I'm not. After this show, I'm going to be I'm going to be riding along with you to go because I need to catch up on all the stuff that's going on.
It's exciting.
So, have you been to this restaurant?
I have been.
How
yes,
is
sir.
it?
Amazing, fabulous.
What'd you order?
The steak.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. Well, gentlemen, Jason.
Yes.
Let's tell people your phone number.
409-750-2222.
Alrighty, you can also call the office at 409-744-3300, or you can reach out to me directly anywhere online at Galveston, Texas Living.
Anthony Apsher and Jason Keeling. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great show.
Jake West is back. Gateway Mortgage. Well, Jake, it's you and me as we close things down here. What else do you want people to know? You like numbers. I'm already getting that.
I'm a numbers guy, so I mean, it's
money and a numbers guy. I love it.
Don't take no as an answer. I mean, it's one of those things where I have a few people where we've worked on getting them prepared to buy their first house, and just knowing that they have these programs available to their use is one of those things, just to make sure that they know that they won't have to be renters for life, and you don't need that 20% down to move into a house.
I think you have another advantage there, Jake, having the last name West. That would be nice.
It
easy,
is one of those.
One syllable, easy to remember.
The Wild Wild West, like you said, Jim West.
I remember the show, all the manifestations of that show. Well, Jake, once again, let's tell people your phone number.
My phone number is 817-680-8559, and then my website is jakefromgateway.com.
The phone number
again
is?
My cell phone is 817-680-8559.
Thank you, Jake. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. That's right, show number 538. We've talked about Island. We've talked a lot about money. It's super awesome. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. But meanwhile, again, Bill Knapik and John Bramlett right here, and all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you listening. Simply go to stewart.com/radio. That's right, stewart.com/radio, where you can see and hear this show, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.